everyone. Welcome to the Faith and Fandom podcast, Artist Alley Aftermath Edition for Heroes Con 2025. A 4-day journey into my longest con relationship. Heroes Con was my first con that I ever attended back in 2010. It's the first con Faith and Fandom sat up at in 2014. And, yeah, it's kind of my linchpin show of just balance. It's a comic creator show. It's a comic book show. It is not a pop culture festival like a Galaxy Con or any of the others that rely on celebrities. It's there for art and comics. And, yeah, so if you show up, that better be what you're ready for. But yeah, it was a 4-day long event. So let's kick this off, and thank you for taking the time to listen. And I hope it's encouraging and moderately entertaining along the way. First off, Heroes runs Friday morning through Sunday morning. And this year, due to some blessings and opportunities we've been given as a ministry as a whole, was able to get 2 booths instead of 1 for the first time ever at Heroes Con. Just for your general well-being and knowledge, a booth at Heroes Con, the cheapest one you can get as an artist, runs you about $300 and something odd dollars, which is totally fair for $100 a day at a show like this. And I asked to get 2 booths, and I did, and so that meant a much bigger display. That meant spreading things out. That meant a chance to kind of showcase a little bit more stuff. But in the same token, I've also not shied away, but stepped back from doing candles just because I ran out of wax, and I don't want to do it. And some of the other things like hats and other stuff that I've done in years past. So this was pretty much just mine or my adjacent artwork in one form or fashion that we had at the booth. I did a couple hours of work on Thursday morning at my Muggle job, and then boot scoot and boogied on over to Charlotte, where I met my friend Stephanie, who is one of my former college students who lives in the Charlotte area. Normally, I would have one of my children with me to do this, but my children ended up competing in nationals for dance. And ultimately, my oldest daughter won Best in Show, #1, whatever, for her hip-hop. Dance has weird made-up award layers that I don't understand how to properly say. Triple gold, platinum, Mario Kart crown, whatever her award is, but she was the best overall for hip hop for her age and on a national level. So yippee-ki-yay. I am very proud of her. I missed her, but I'm very proud of her. And Stephanie and I went, and this is also the first show for our new t-shirt rack, which I finally abandoned the Little Debbie red t-shirt rack that I've used for years. And got a collapsible rack that I saw somebody with in Richmond. And let's just say this thing is miraculous, and I do love it. But we made it. After sweltering through the heat of the parking garage across the street, we loaded in right at, let's say, 1 o'clock, maybe. And with both of us carrying a cart, it only took 1 trip to make it over, thankfully. But that was also with leaving a 6-foot-tall black bookshelf and a white shelf, because I didn't physically space this stuff out before I did it. So I came overly prepared. But we made it over across and spent probably from 1 to 4 or 5 or 7. I don't know. We spent from 1 to a long time setting up. I want to say it took at least 4 hours, so maybe 5. Who knows? I genuinely lost track of time at that point. But as we set up the two booths and loaded all the stuff, I did my normal setup things and was very slow and meticulous with it. And Stephanie took the time to put the shelf together for the shirts, but then individually fold each shirt into a tiny little square and stack the shirts on the shelves, not only by size, but by style. So literally when I would pull a shirt off the shelf, it was literally, I could just slide it right out perfectly. And I'm not kidding. It took her almost the entire time it took me to set up everything else just for her to organize these shirts. Was it worth it? Yes. Would I have ever done that? Not on your life. I will. No. Hard pass. Wouldn't do it. But I am proud of her for taking the time to put that together. But we talked and we hung out and we chit-chatted and everything else as we took the time to set up. Said hey to John Harrison, some of the other artists and vendors that came through. And then when it was all said and done, we went over to the pizza place, something fire pizza that is right across the street from the convention center, and we ate pizza and had heart to hearts and talks of life and family and all the adulting things. Stephanie is she works part-time in a daycare, but she's also a marriage and family therapist. So, deep conversations did abound. But yeah, we had those conversations, and then I went and checked into my hotel. And this is also the first time ever in setting up a booth that I actually stayed in walking distance of the Charlotte Convention Center. I normally stay a million miles away, probably like 12 miles away. But 12 miles away in Charlotte traffic might as well be like staying at my house. But I parked my car on Thursday evening, and I did not move my car until I went to go set up or to pack everything together on Sunday morning. So that was delightful. Went and set up, checked into my hotel, and after a while I decided to just walk around downtown Charlotte and explore a little bit. And I walked, I don't know, like a mile or less to the Midnight Diner, which is a famous dining establishment in Charlotte. At least to me, I think it's a famous dining establishment. But I've gone there for concerts and different things. I think the last time I went there was when NF and Social Club were playing in downtown Charlotte like a decade ago. But yeah, I went and had like a biscuit at the Midnight Diner, and then I walked back and just enjoyed the kind of peace of quiet with that. And yeah, then Friday morning everything kicked off and went just to prepare for everything else. And then right when I got to the show, my setup, it was next to another booth that had 2 tables of setup. And so it was literally just our 4 tables all by themselves in a little island on the back wall. Now, right as I finally sat down, pulled out my Nintendo Switch to play some Mario Kart, sat down with my coffee at the show to get ready, a dude who definitely hasn't unclenched anything in years came by and said, "You can't be here." And I had to move my booth. Now, keep in mind, I'm talking shelves, t-shirt racks, pens, buttons, the whole thing, both tables that were perfectly joined together. I needed to move, let's say, 40 feet in one direction, which put me directly beside another entrance, but put my 2 booths all by themselves, but it also put them directly in front of an aisle, which in fact actually did give me much more visibility if you were walking the aisles looking for me. But did all of my racks and shirts and everything else fall apart in the process? Yes. Yes, they did. But I could tell it wasn't anything anybody else wanted to do. And Carla, who is the showrunner in a lot of fashions, like I just gave her the it's okay thumbs up as I move my stuff, and she just kind of like appreciated it. I think that I wasn't raising a fuss because I know how hard she works on it. And years ago, Carla and I were on a CW talk show Flash chat years ago, like when she, I think, first took over this is when the Flash was still really big on TV. And anyway, got set up for real this time and got started. And within 3 minutes of the show opening, somebody came and bought stickers. I'm talking like the show technically didn't open till like 11 or whatever, I believe. Hold on, I've got a badge right here. The show opened at 10 a.m. to VIPs and 11 to the general public. At 10:03, somebody was buying stickers at my booth, and that was nice. And yeah, but then almost immediately after that, a young lady came to unload her feelings about the patriarchy and our president and war and Puritan culture and the effect of the Puritan impact on Christianity and its distancing from the truth of God's word and everything. And this young lady probably shared her thoughts for about 45 minutes. It was all in good spirit. It was all there was not malicious, but it was a lot, first thing in the morning. Then I got to see some familiar faces, people that literally I can always count on to show up and buy books and everything. And honestly, a lot of my ride or die, I can always count on these people at Heroes Con to show up. People came on Friday. Like, it's just, hey, cool. Thanks for being here. But that was nice. And I even got into a whole conversation about wrestling and theater and Jey Uso and stuff like that with one of our friends and Patreon supporters, and it was just a good time. And like Lyle Pollard, who was the artist who did our comic book and our kids book, I sent him his way. I sent people his way to get stuff signed. Danny Quick, who is the creator of Ace Blade, gave me a stack of Ace Blade number 5 for me to sell and sign and give out, which are books that I co-wrote with him on that one issue. And then I got to see my friend Michelle and her family and collective family, and they came, and they're always just a big support and encouragement to me and to Faith and Fandom. And they came by and got stickers, and they brought friendship bracelets, and they even brought me a little squishy boba stress ball, which is now on my desk at my Muggle job. And it was a good experience. A young lady came by, and she's like, I've been buying your books here at this show since your first show. And that was just astonishing to hear, that literally somebody's been coming and buying my books for 11 years at this show. So once you take out the COVID year, that's literally a decade of people buying Faith and Fandom books at Heroes Con. And that's just impressive to me. But what's also funny is I had two, count them, two different people come to the booth that say they've been coming to this show for more than 10 years and never seen my booth before. How can I, in 1 hour time, get somebody say, oh, I've been buying your books here for 11 years, and then someone said, I've been coming here for 11 years and never seen you. It's just crazy, go nuts, that it's like that. Yeah. Then I think it was Michelle's family as well that told me that there's now a VeggieTales podcast where the creators actually do a podcast as Bob and Larry. I've not looked into this, but I am planning to go through it, and it was a good day. One of my friends, Catherine, came by and helped me to man the booth, run errands, get coffee, do collective artwork, and do sketches. She did a lot of the sketches that people really enjoyed over the weekend, all the Peanut stuff, all the 90s cartoons. So she was responsible for a lot of that. And one neat thing was as I was kind of getting ready for the day to kind of wrap up, Miss Weeks. Now, if Lee Weeks is a legendary artist. He is very famous for Superman, for Daredevil, for Batman, and most notoriously, if you've listened to my content, back with the issue of Batman 53, which was the Cold Days arc, where Batman goes on a whole gospel tangent, which was actually the first episode of the Pull List podcast. So years worth of content here. Lee Weeks typically draws a lot of the Batman stuff that's faith related, but he is just hands down one of the OG great comic book artists, and I'm a fan. Well, back when I did Faith and Fandom 6 and had a chapter on the story that Lee Weeks drew, I had Lee sign my copy of Faith and Fandom 6, just because I wanted to. And I struck up a conversation with them. In the years past, I've given them devotionals and stuff like that. Miss Weeks came by the booth because out of all the things, Thursday, Stephanie and I took a cart of trash on the way out of the con. I was throwing away one of my old table things that said what books were, or what chapters were in what books. And one of them must have fallen somewhere in the process. So someone picked it up and put it on Lee Weeks' table. So when they came in, they saw my Faith and Fandom listing on their table. So she came by to return it, and also to like come by and talk and say hey, and ended up getting some books and wanted to be supportive. And this is what was crazy, and this was definitely a highlight moment of the whole show. Miss Weeks said, "I pray for your ministry." And she said, "When I'm lying awake at night, which isn't very often, you come to mind and I pray for your ministry." And I just sat there and like made a little puppy dog teary-eyed face at the idea of that. And I'm just grateful to be here, y'all. But that was great. It was a good moment. And also a neat thing that started out the day, I was sitting in the hotel lobby eating my hotel breakfast before I went to the show on Friday. And one of the ladies that was cleaning up, serving the breakfast and stuff and everything, saw all the jingle jangles that are on my backpack. Like the keychains and the figures and stuff like that. She said, "Those are nice. Can I have one?" Y'all, I hope you know that if there's like a jingle jangle hanging off my backpack, it has sentimental value. Like, I've got a free rent one on there that I just got at GalaxyCon Richmond. I've got a link on there that I got from my guesting time at San Diego. I've got a Nate from Ted Lasso one that there's literally a chapter about that keychain in the books. And she's like, "Can I have one?" And I'm like, "Okay." And I just the day before, on Thursday, bought a Luffy blind bag or like a figure at GameStop the day before. And so I gave her that one. And I was like, you know what? All right, Lord, let that be a blessing. I'm going to go on a day. Before I could pack my trash up, she said, "Hey, that other lady over there is jealous. Can you give her one too?" And I'm like, I got to get out of here before I lose all of the stuff on my backpack. And I literally like pulled one off that was Zoro from One Piece, that his, like, it was just his head, his body had fallen off at some point, and I was like, here you go, and like pieced out so I didn't lose all my stuff. Friday night as well, when the show was over, took some time and I went to a restaurant called the Public House, which very well may be the best food I had on the trip. I had a, brace yourself for this one, I had a smash burger, which is, flattened patties, with bacon, jalapenos, peanut butter, and jelly. I saw it on the menu, and I'm like, bet, let's go. And I sat there at the booth and ate my burger and watched SmackDown, which was playing on the TV, and had just a great evening of just chilling there at the place. And this was relatively close because once I got to the hotel, it was a much shorter distance from the hotel to the convention center that I'd actually planned. So I was grateful for that. But then kicked right back off to also to say the coffee at the convention center isn't bad, which was kind of amazing, and I was pretty excited about that. Saturday, let's see. It was a nice experience having like an island of just my booth. I will say that. Yeah, but even though I was on an island and I wasn't directly connected to another booth, it still did not stop neighbor complications. Now, no shade to my con neighbors. The people that I ended up moving away from because of the spacing, like another artist came by to talk about how much of a problem they had with them previous years. But one of the things that and I try to be generous with my surroundings and not be grumpy about stuff. But so when I got moved beside a jut out in the wall that had a trash can, which is fine for the most part, except at one point a security guard threw a bottle of liquid. It totally missed and hit me in the back of the head. Cool, whatever. But the booth next to us decided they were going to go beyond the 2 or 3 tables they had, and they were going to start putting posters of their artwork up on the smooth wall behind the trash can. And in order to show more of their artwork, they moved the trash can over to where it was behind my booth. And this is like a double thing where it's like hanging and I could smell it and it was gross. And I dealt with that for like the majority of the day, and I just occasionally nudge it back over, and then they'd nudge it back, and then finally I kind of got perturbed, which is I'm not normally super grumpy about things when it comes to this, but because it was a back and forth all day, it was kind of wearing me thin. I moved the trash can back, and then the dude immediately got up and tried to move it back behind my booth. I said, "Sir, I would really appreciate it if this was not behind my booth." He's like, "Well, can I move it this close?" And I took a chair and I put it along the wall where my booth stopped. I said, "This is where my space starts. Please don't put the trash can here." And it was like this, Old West shootout the rest of the weekend, which I didn't want it to be, but it's whatever. Yeah. A young lady walked by the booth who I believe, from what I remember, was the wife of an artist who was there, and she saw the "God is a Fan of You" t-shirt and instantly started tearing up. She said that message just hit her heart, honestly, and this was what it's there for. And I explained why I made it and what my thoughts were on it, and she just kind of teared up, and it was a big blessing. Let's see. I'm looking over my notes, and I can't always remember whatever my notes were. And I've got David 10X. I'm going to try and remember it. But either way, guy came by and said that he was praying specifically for prosperity over our booth. And with this, and a few people came by over the weekend and asked about giving donations. And a young lady came by and said she loved my books and that she was my number one fan, which was always weird to hear. Oh, and this was another thing. The spacing there are one thing that is about Heroes Con is there's no chairs or tables or anything like that near concessions, and there's also a lot of elderly men who collect comics who will want to sit down and rifle through their comic books to put them in places, and people kept sitting behind our booth, against the wall, like, which was totally a safety hazard but also made me uncomfortable. But I'd already been grumpy once that weekend, so I was trying hard to not be super grumpy, but it was a weird experience. Also, someone's card got declined, and I never know how to process that. Like, because I was like, oh, let's just keep going, let's try it again. But like, yeah, never know what to do with that. But yeah, people. Then there was another situation where a family with like a baby and a walker and another thing literally just parked in front of our booth and blocked it for like 45 minutes and trying real hard to be kind and patient and everything else. I got to see my friend Isaiah, aka Lunchbox. He had a cool Midnighter costume, which people called a custom Moon Knight, which was funny. I got to see a Clancy from 21 Pilots, and this was one of my favorite interactions from the weekend for sure. She said that I was only the second person who recognized her. Now, when I saw them initially, I yelled out to the Victor Arcane cosplayer, and didn't even notice the Clancy until they turned around. And, we talked about 21 Pilots for a hot minute. And I told her, I was like, yeah, I normally have like a Ned, a Clancy, and a Torchbearer sketch. She's like, oh, can I get a torch? Oh, and I gave her a push on through sticker, and she almost started crying. But I said, no, you go, like, tell you what, swing back by here before you leave today, and I'll give you a Torchbearer sketch. And she tried to pay me in advance for that. I was like, no, roll on. And I bought a bigger sketch pad than my little note cards. And so I did a kind of bigger, more detailed Torchbearer sketch than I normally do. And if, like, I expect all of y'all to listen to all these podcasts, but back in GalaxyCon Richmond, someone gave me a 21 Pilots bracelet. And that had a map rolled into it to part of the storyline of 21 Pilots' last couple albums. I have that bracelet on my backpack, and I'm really glad that the lady at the hotel didn't take it. So I drew the sketch and tied the bracelet around it. And when that young lady came back and I handed it to her, she, like, tears, excited, just was really happy with it. And made her whole show, and loved that opportunity, and it was good. It was a good moment. And I had maybe a 10-year-old boy come by and said, "Hey man, is it okay for me to watch One Piece? Like, with God, is it okay for me to watch One Piece?" And he's like, I'm trying to tell my mom that it's okay, and I need to know if it's okay. And I'm like, well, it's like One Piece can get sketchy, like once you get past the 500s to 600s and some of the different stuff later on. But like, it's still a good story of redemption and encouragement. And he's like, cool, bye. Walked away. And he's like, which books have One Piece in it? And I told him, he's like, can I get it for $5 instead of 10? I'm like, okay, buddy. And so that was cool. A neat thing is I officially sold out of Flockward, the comic book. I don't remember like how many. It was like a couple hundred copies that I'd gotten originally, about a year ago, but officially sold out. I had it I've had it a little over a year, and the book's gone. Now I'll reorder some more probably before GalaxyCon, but that was just really neat to be able to like watch the last copy leave the shelf. which was neat. There was a pastor that walked by on Saturday and literally just stopped, mouth agape. His flabbers were gasted. And he's like, "Is this what I think it is?" And I spent probably 25 minutes talking with him about the church and how ministry works and everything else. And he was, just this is something that he would have wanted to do. And we just had a good conversation about it. And it was about ministry and church and everything else. It was just really neat. But yeah, it was neat. Let's see what other night. Oh, also there was a dope Nightcrawler cosplayer. And at the end, and I asked him if I could give him a Nightcrawler sticker, and he said yes, and that was cool. Saturday there was a lot going on in Charlotte. There was the Pride Parade, which happened. There was a Juneteenth parade, which featured a lot of people on horses downtown. And also a ton of people coming in for the FIFA game on Sunday. So there was a lot going on. Saturday night, I decided to do something I'd never really done before. And I ended up getting on one of those scooters that you see lying around cities. And I scootered around the city. Now, I'm a girthy man. And if you see me coming on a scooter, I'm pretty sure your thought would be, hey, I should move. But Charlotte people were like, nope, forget you, man. And I've got little light on. I've got little ding, ding, ding horn. I'm like doing it at people. And so there's a sidewalk. I'm on it. I'm going in the right of way. But there's one dude who's literally taking up the whole sidewalk, walking dead in the middle. And, I'm waiting. I'm trying to get his attention to move. He does not move. So at the last minute, I swerve to the right and try to thread the needle of the space between the edge of the curb, a tree, and a car. And I 100% shoulder tackle or elbow tackle, really, a tree in motion. And I took a big old chunk of skin off of my left arm and bruised it and was just in shambles over this thing. Was it fun? Yes. Did it feel kind of cool? Yes. But I also did not enjoy it. So Sunday morning, I am making my way into the convention center after I've packed up, moved my car, did all the things. I've got my coffee. I am coming full tilt. And the elevator opens, and I don't know what was wrong with my brain, but I 100% missed the spatial awareness of this elevator, and I walked at full power walking speed directly into the corner of the elevator as I was coming out. Now, I hit it with my right elbow. My right hand also contained my coffee. My coffee flew up in the air, landed all over the carpet, and I somehow managed to hit my right elbow harder coming out of that elevator than I did on the scooter with my left elbow on a tree. And so both of my wings are literally clipped and my arms are damaged from trying to do this, but it's whatever. Yeah. Miss Weeks also came by again to be encouraging, and she told me that my mission is important and don't forget that. Yeah, that was just the kind of a time of my life in a lot of areas. There's some stuff with discounts on books. I was able to discount a good amount of books for people. Was able to kind of be a blessing in those ways, to be able to give stuff away free. I got to see my friend Vic, who was a cosplay staple. I got serenaded to. I was about to say marinated. I got serenaded to by Michael Watkins outside of a men's room while I was talking to Vic. Michael came up to me, put his hands on my back, started singing "Time of My Life" from Dirty Dancing to me, because that's what we do. I got to see the Simpsons. Jordan and Christine Simpson from Florence came by. I got to meet a really cool young lady named Melanie, who was a big encouragement. The pretzels at the concession stand were terrible. I had a really good conversation with some theology students from Liberty University, which was cool. I saw a Magikarp hair clip on Lyle's daughter, and I had to go find it. It is the only thing I bought the whole weekend, but I totally ran after it and bought a Magikarp hair clip, and it was wonderful. And let's see, Trevor bracelet. I got to see my friend Trevor, which I've seen Trevor at Heroes Con ever since my first one, and was able to share some of the friendship bracelets that I was just given, but also to be a blessing with those as well. My friend Russell brought me an X-Men comic, and that's older than I am, and also got to talk to Chris from Dragon's Lair, who bought an $800 Pokemon card, which was absolutely bonkers. One of the funniest things to me for the weekend was there's a dude who accidentally cosplayed as Donald Glover, aka Childish Gambino. On his most recent album, he's wearing a kind of a yellow Hawaiian shirt and a hat that says Spam. There was a dude who was wearing a yellow Hawaiian shirt with a very similar hat, and I literally thought this dude was cosplaying as Childish Gambino, but I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think that's actually what's happening. So I said, "Sir, are you cosplaying?" He's like, "No." "Why?" And I turned my phone around and showed him the Childish Gambino cover. He's like, "Oh, dang. I did do that." Which was pretty funny. But overall, my friends Stephanie and Catherine both helped me pack up. And as the show kind of wrapped up, overall, in terms of show success and everything, I think this was a little lighter than my normal reception at Heroes Con, but I also feel like that was kind of the case for a lot of people. Sunday was very, very quiet in terms of response, sales, and everything else. Wasn't bad, but it definitely, the show as a whole felt lighter, but the show expanded more and it took up more space. So, which means people are trafficking less. Somewhere over the weekend, there was a Larry Boy cosplay that was at this show, but I never got to see them. And that definitely makes me sad. I'm going to look through some of my photos real quick just to double check, make sure I'm not missing anything, but it was a really good experience. Got packed up, got loaded out, and made my pseudo required annual trek to Jack in the Box on the way out of Heroes Con, which is always kind of like when Heroes Con is over, I'm going to eat at Jack in the Box in Monroe on my way out, just because that's what you do. My friend Catherine ended up getting a $100 Dark Shadows comic book on the way out the door. Like, as people were packing up, we walked by, and I know she's a collector of Dark Shadows. I was like, "Yo, have you seen this?" And it was a $140 book. The dude gave it to us for $100. It was pretty cool. There was a neat cosplay of a bunch of Resident Evil characters, which was cool. Let's see what else. There was some really great Star Wars groups, a swashbuckling Nightcrawler. The one Nightcrawler I gave a sticker to had a Bible in his holster, which was neat. My friend Isaiah's partner dressed as Absolute Wonder Woman, which is the first person I've seen to cosplay as that, which was really cool. I got to see Natalie, who is Michael Watkins' daughter, which was neat. Haven't seen her in a minute. Look through my sketches. I saw some great Dan to Dan cosplays. There was a dude who was dressed as Luffy, and his wife was dressed as Robin, and his daughter was dressed as Chopper, and neither of the rest of the family actually watched One Piece, but they loved their father/husband enough to actually wear these costumes, which I greatly appreciate. Moon Knights. Yeah. A lot of good cosplays. I did a lot of sketches. If I work a little bit more, my sketchbook might be filled with cards by the time we get to GalaxyCon in July. Let's see. Yeah, it was the show. it was a good one overall. It was a good experience. This is the first time in a long time they didn't let you sign up for Artist Alley in advance for the next year. So I don't know. Hopefully I plan to be there. And one good thing too, go ahead and tell y'all this while here. Lyle got me all the artwork for our new kids book Hide and Seek right before we got to the show. And when I got done with the show, like on Monday and Tuesday, I worked on getting the book together, which was good for the upcoming kids book. So yeah, you should be hearing some stuff about that real quick. I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters because y'all literally make all this possible. Kelly Townsend, Alan Wallace, Fab Quack, Rivka and Tristan Birch, Dorothy Martin Winston, Michelle Stewart, who was a huge blessing at the show, Miss Lynn Turner, Jeff Weimer, Colin Sproles, Jamie Montgomery, the Coleman family, Jonathan Herman, Ron Petit, Gear Saber Cosplay, Scott Ward, Alicia Glenn, Jace Sheed, Jason Crutchfield, Mike Perna, Todd Turner, John Jacobs, Zach Harris, Caleb Grimm, Jeanette Skaggs, Jason Bullock, Christina Ray, Sarah Lewis, Patrick Gale, Rebecca Godlove, and Adam Davis. Adam Davis and I were the ones who had the cool wrestling conversation. And also I got to talk to Kevin Wayne Smith multiple times throughout the weekend, and he brought me delicious treats, and he actually brought me 2 books to read too, which was a big blessing, and some art as well. So it's good encouragement. It's good to see friends and artists. I had some good heart-to-heart conversations with John Hairston while I was there, who's one of my favorite people to talk to, and he says he's got a surprise coming up for me, which I really hope it's a painting of Outcast. Here's hoping, because I've been asking for that for years. And yeah, I had good support, good friends, good encouragement, and didn't spend a ton of time alone at the booth or anything like that, between friends helping out and doing sketches and coming by to visit. So it was nice. So that's it. That's Heroes for the year, and it really does feel like kind of a pin in a chapter in a lot of ways. But I look forward to whatever chapter's next. I think my next actual show is GalaxyCon, which is about a month away from now. I might end up doing something else in between, but I've got weddings and events and all the jazz between now and then, so we'll see what's happening. But I am adding some new shows in the fall that I don't think I've advertised yet. I don't think I've advertised a lot this summer, actually, just because I've been kind of barely breathing. But Greenville is going to be added, North Carolina. There's going to be one in Myrtle Beach in October, and also might be one in Greensboro in September too. So I'm working on all those. But thank you for taking the time to listen, for being encouragements, and I genuinely hope I get to see you at a con real soon.